Like,
Lose it, right?
No,
I
it's
don't
not,
think-
it's not use it or lose it. It's not lose it or use it. It has, so there's two pots. There's one for 10,000 and one for 20,000. And I'm sorry, I don't know which one is connected to the neighborhoods. We have to look that up. But the neighborhoods, yes, it hasn't been used for the last couple of years to the extent that it could be. And it does, I do believe it draws off of some of the park maintenance funds, because that's essentially where that and the 10,000 was where both me and Austin would need to pull money if we're going to do any maintenance work on the urban forest. So I do believe that we are getting funds.
See, and the original allocation, as I recall, for neighborhoods, was it Jason Reuter? Was he the council member that supported that? And anyway, the original allocation was $10,000 a year.
Annually. Yep.
And see, and then, what's confusing is like Molly pointed out, when you look at the budget, there's only one line item that directly connects to urban forestry. But as Maeve is saying, there's a lot more money being spent. Her time today is
Yeah, I mean, we
contribution
can
to,
track- both Cammy and I track our hours,
Yeah.
and it's outstanding. Like, you wouldn't realize how many
Sure.
Oh my God.
hours are spent, but
Yeah.
there's quite a few hours in
Yeah.
addition,
but that needs to be so clearly
Right. It-
accounted for in the budget so that we know what those real numbers are. And that's what's kind of surprising to find out that hasn't been done. So we don't really know what we're working with. And even with this urban management plan, like that didn't come up as a priority in the management plan to figure out exactly what is currently
Well, I mean,
being
he
spent so
has,
that we know what we're
he has
working with.
question marks, and
Yeah.
he asked for this information.
And he
several-
didn't get it.
Several times.
Okay.
He did. And to be fair, we have to sit down with our
Okay,
leadership from the
Yeah,
financial side
well-
and flush through it. And there's a lot of other priorities.
Yeah.
So once again, I want to remind you, we are one of multiple priorities and
Sure.
divisions
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
yanking at the limited staff capacity.
Exactly.
So this is one of those items that, this might be a placeholder until I can get this information, but Jim has asked for all the edits this afternoon. I'm going to do my darndest to finish getting them all put in, to at least get to a point where we can clean that up, and then we can, have an apples to apples conversation
Yeah.
about budget.
and that needs to happen before this goes to council,
It does, yes.
in my opinion, for the record.
Yep.
And so knowing that, it seems like, November 16th, we're just not even gonna be ready.
Well, you never know.
But January might give us the time to actually really get a really good handle
I mean,
on what the budget is.
here's the thing about this plan.
And what we're
How
working
many of you
towards.
learned something from this plan? Sounds like you all have learned something about budget, right? I've learned a lot. And this is the
Absolutely.
first time anyone has done a true
Yeah.
analysis.
Absolutely.
And digested all this.
This
So
is
this is why you
I'm
do the
grateful.
plan.
I am
Right.
grateful for
Right.
this management plan.
Yeah.
Because it's bringing to light
Mhm.
how little we actually know about the budget and where that money is coming from, how it's being spent, not accounting for the money that's being paid to you, what Jared in the past, and
We do,
Carrie.
to remind you, we do track our hours. Both Cammy and I track our hours. So all of that started, I think, when I came on board. I don't know if Cammy, if you guys did before.
I was only here for maybe 2 meetings before you.
Yeah, so I think a lot of changes happened this fall when I started, and
yeah,
similarly to inheriting the committee, I've inherited a program, and we didn't know how to get this cleaned up, without starting from scratch.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of triage. So,
yeah.
all the questions you're asking, I completely agree with you.
I know you
I
do.
don't think that any of it is bad. I just want to put that out
No,
there, that
I-
we learned a ton, and that's the
I
point.
second what you are saying, Maeve. And even though I know that I sound really frustrated right now, I am very grateful for this management plan and the work that's been done, because like I just said, it is bringing a lot of things to light that we really need to tackle.
Mhm.
and that was what I wanted to talk about today was how critical the budget is moving forward with, for us to be able to accomplish the goals that the city has for its infrastructure of urban forestry.
Yeah, and what this plan is doing is it's helping to further legitimize
Yeah,
this whole process that we have been fumbling through
Yes.
forever because there hasn't been a
Yeah.
budget and
Right.
Yeah.
there's been so
and so
much.
that
like,
makes me excited
A
Right.
clarified budget. Yeah.
about moving forward, because this is what needs to
Well,
happen.
and then as the person who sets the budget, how do you set a budget when you don't have a plan?
Totally.
Yes,
That's, you know,
yeah,
and you don't even know what you have. I mean,
yeah,
he still says we need a thorough inventory. He still says, you know, there's things in here. We talk a lot about the level of service in here. Do we, you know, there's different varying degrees of level of service. There's varying degrees of staff. What's realistic for a town our size?
Yeah.
And that's something that we'll have to digest and then make a recommendation through a strategic plan that comes out of this. Of, okay, so in the next, what can we reasonably tackle in the next 5 years? You
Right.
know, and we're gonna have to, this is just step one. This is-
Exactly.
We just got all the dirty dishes out and put them in the sink.
yeah, but it does worry me though that, it's like that Jim had to put all those question marks in there in that chart, because to me, that does seem like it would be it's such a critical piece of
Mhm.
this management plan. And yeah, so we need to fill in those questions.
Well, you can blame me because frankly, I can give this only so much time. So I'll wear
Yeah.
the weight for not being able to get all the
I'm-
answers
and I-
prior to his draft, but he knows
But you
we
don't even have
have-
the answers yet.
No,
mean,
I don't. And they've been asked numerous times.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of. you
And
know,
that we know now
Getting
that
through
that
the budget.
information just isn't
Well,
there.
it's also
to-
distilling it out of stuff that hasn't been tracked historically.
Yeah,
So
but that needs to be
that's
tracked.
part of it.
And then keep in
We need
mind,
to
it
track
wasn't
it.
that many years ago where Stephen Drinkard would have to go to Austin and say, pretty please, there's a tree that needs some
Yeah.
attention, or go to Rich, and Rich, is there any way you can swing by and look at this tree for us? And it was, you know, no money was allocated, and
Yeah.
they were just kind of done on a prayer and a promise and a.
Yeah.
And you know, the parks plan is the same way, the art plan is the same way. All of these plans over the last few years have resulted in a lot of the same questions.
Yeah.
And it's a cleanup of the city.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I can just tell you, we look at these answers and we'll get there.
And then it's just a cleanup, it's just sort of a maturing of the city, and
Exactly.
and you know, and that's the thing is,
Yeah.
you know, it's so hard to track. Maybe someone on the park crew is driving out the empty trash cans or something like that. Oh, and here's a dead branch on a tree, or a branch that was damaged or something. Let me take 15, 30 minutes or something to kind of take care of this. Well, those are the things that aren't,
we
you know,
don't track.
yeah, that's not on a time sheet that somebody spent, you know, 15 minutes kind of doing something.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think, you know, it's been a good learning experience so far, but
I'm glad that we're all here
Yeah.
talking about this.
Yeah.
And to me, the sort of the take home message of the whole plan is, you know, whether we have the exact city of Sandpoint figures, what Jim has presented to us is, here are the industry standards,
Yeah.
you know, for
Correct.
Yeah.
tree maintenance. And then prorated to Sandpoint, that would be $98,000 a year. And so the
Yeah.
question is, where's that money going to
Yeah.
come from?
And another thing that I wanted to bring up in regards to budget, I think I touched on this last week, was, you know, being realistic. We have to be realistic about this, but the first thing is knowing what budget we are shooting for and what's going to be
Yeah.
included within that budget, what priorities. But knowing also that we probably we can't right away get maybe as much as we would like. Maybe looking at it as phases, like what's the first phase when we get maybe 60% of what our ideal budget would be to cover all of the goals and priorities that we have. Like what are those priorities and what is the budget we need for that first phase, the second phase, the third phase? And maybe approaching it in that, with steps that are going in the right direction, and also so that things are more realistic as we move forward.
Right. And I mean, I think one thing that I saw in here was we're not maintaining, we talked about that. We heard that from Jim when he was here. We're not maintaining what we have very well. So we're not meeting this level of service
Yeah.
that we need to meet across
Yeah.
the board. And so, I heard that loud and clear when he was here. I've heard it from Garth all along. I experience it every day when people call and they need stuff maintained. And I think another thing is for a town of our size, how do we maintain trees where people just simply can't afford to maintain their trees? Some of those street trees are really expensive to maintain. And we have a community of some people are aging, and it's expensive to take, a couple $1,000s out of their fixed income. So I think, looking at ideas and ways to be able to potentially maintain in a way that makes it so we can serve everyone. And I don't know what that looks like. He didn't really talk about that, but I did hear great ideas from the community forester person, Matt, who's with the state. He has great ideas on how to do that. So, those are all questions I think once we digest this a little bit further and we have sound bites, then we can talk to city council about ideas.
Yeah.
I would anticipate this is the committee that does come up with ideas and
I would love to
them.
hear those ideas, and
council.
I
Yeah.
look forward to this time next year that we're sitting down and we're talking about
Hopefully
these
it's in
ideas and we have a
January.
budget to work with, but yeah.
How do we
Well,
get-
and
Well,
as
that's
I-
part of creating the budget though,
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
I have noted a cost share program as one of those alternatives.
Uh-huh.
So that you could, a certain demographic who might need financial assistance, the city could cost share with them for whatever tree maintenance they have. So that would have a dollar amount that would be part of the budget,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know Jim talked about the idea of the city maintaining all the right-of-way trees, like as an idea. And so I
That's
kind of
not
think
uncommon.
cost share,
That'd be great.
no,
Yeah.
I like it as a
Yeah.
whole too, but as far as
Yeah,
phasing,
exactly.
cost share,
Yeah,
the cost share
yeah.
program might
It's a
be.
great example of phasing.
Yeah,
Well,
and
and as I see it progressing, when it's presented to the council, they're probably gonna see two budgetary aspects of it. One is the $98,000 for maintenance. The other is the recommendation for a city forester. And what's a FTE, a full-time equivalent employee for the city? How are you budgeting that now? Maybe $100,000?
I bet it's a little bit more than that.
Okay,
For
yeah,
the benefits.
yeah, salary and
yeah, I'm
benefits.
guessing
and so-
probably
yeah.
120, 140.
Okay, and
I
so
don't-
then,
It depends for
yeah,
that level. I
yeah,
don't know what
yeah,
level that
yeah.
would be, but yeah.
so the
Let's
implementation
just
is
say
I.
100 for.
Yeah, the implementation of the plan, as I read it, is say $100,000 to $120,000 for the full-time forester position, and then say $100,000 for the maintenance and things like that. And so the city council, where are we going to get the money? Are we going to just kind of magically say, this will come out of the general fund, generated from taxes? Or is like Jim was presenting to us, is some type of an assessment for every property owner, and and that's sort of a pay me now or pay me later approach, because instead of that elderly homeowner being hit with a several $1,000 tree maintenance or tree removal bill, then all of a sudden, they're paying the $11 a month or whatever it comes out to, and the city's going to take care of it for them. So,
Well, I kind of think that where the city comes up with the money is not really our decision. I mean, there are many options. There's different taxes and
yeah,
property taxes, sales tax, and things like that. And I think I think we have to convince them that the need
Yeah.
is there,
That's right.
and they can figure out how to
Yeah.
budget it. I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Like to not get too bogged down in that end of the conversation here. I did want to take a little time at least to get people's comments on different aspects of the plan that we didn't really get through the whole thing. Maeve had previously asked us to look at the vision statement. I'd like to do that. I also had this
Do you want us to
the
go?
vision statements on page
No.
13, by the way. And then also I was hoping to run through the program actions on 77 to page 77 to
Right.
79.
That was our assignment.
So do you
Yeah.
read what we have in here?
Yeah,
What are we doing first?
The vision
Vision
statement?
statement?
the
Is
mission
that-
statement on page 13.
13.
Thanks.
So I'll read it because we are recorded, but they can't see us. So let's see here. City of Sandpoint Urban Forestry Vision Statement. The City of Sandpoint, recognizing urban forestry as an equal part of the community infrastructure, will create, enhance, maintain, and sustain a vibrant, healthy, and structurally sound community forest resource for the benefit and enjoyment of Sandpoint residents and visitors.
I had a couple suggestions. Well, first, I mean, he's a comma after the city of Sandpoint. I hope
Right.
Eileen will back me up
She's
on that. But,
We didn't collude on this.
Okay.
On the comments.
no, okay. I was gonna add the word support in here. I would like, it says, will create, enhance, maintain, and sustain. I would like to say create, enhance, maintain, support, and sustain. And to me, I guess that implies financial support more than the way it's worded now. So
Where did you want this?
I put it after
enhance,
maintain,
comma.
although it could go in other places too, depending on.
Just stick it in there.
But it needs to be in there. And the other suggestion I was going to make, was the last phrase here says it refers to a community forest resource. And I don't think of our community forest as a resource. I think of it as a forest.
Yeah.
So I would like to just strike the word resource there. That would be my recommendation.
How do you all feel about those edits? Do you want to go around and just check to see? if anyone has-
Yes,
I agree
please.
with the comments. And there could be a certain part of the community infrastructure. We don't make any profit from our trees, although with this, we do get a lot of benefit,
Mhm.
but that's there already. No.
Yeah, I'm okay with deleting resource, but I do like that the word infrastructure is,
Yeah.
is in this statement.
That was one that's a game changer. That's why I want you to look at it.
Yeah,
That puts us on the same
yeah,
level of pipes.
exactly. Yeah, and I really appreciate the word
That's
infrastructure
strength.
in
That's
there.
a strong word.
Yeah. And it's probably tacky to put financially support in addition to the word just to support. So, but I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Well, I think financially support,
It's just understood.
I think support encompasses financial.
okay.
Because it
I-
also support.
I agree. I'm not gonna,
Support includes maintenance.
yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say it's encompassing
Yeah.
is my
It's
thought.
tacitly understood that.
Yeah.
I get it.
And Sharon, I was going to suggest the same thing, but then we would have to put an adjective in front of each of the others too.
That, I
but-
know, it wouldn't be consistent. You're right. As far, no, support is good. That's a good word, Bob.
In the, that first paragraph that kind of defines the vision statement, it actually gives recognition to the ecological importance of trees, but that's actually not mentioned in the vision statement. And that was one of the first things that I thought of was just kind of, that it's not only for the benefit of the people, but also for, the benefits of wildlife, and those
Yeah,
city
the
trees do.
ecosystem,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how to word that, but it
Economic
was
and
something
ecological.
that
Yeah.
was, it came to my mind.
How about, and sustain a vibrant, healthy, comma, strike and structurally and ecologically sound community forest. That word.
Yes.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Can you read it one more time, Maeve?
Sure, I'll read the whole sentence. The city of Sandpoint, comma, recognizing urban forestry as an equal part of the community infrastructure, will create, enhance, maintain, support, and sustain a vibrant, healthy, and ecologically, healthy, structurally and ecologically sound community forest.
That
I
sounds
like throwing
good.
that word in there, ecological.
That's an improvement for
For the
sure.
benefit of it
Yes.
and enjoyment of Sandpoint residents.
Take resource out. Was that right?
Yep, take
Mhm.
this first out. That was my favorite red pen. We're having a Monday. I think we have
Halloween Monday.
We have a ghost. Yes.
Do
So
do we have to adjourn for you to
Have another red
get a
pen.
replacement?
I'll be okay.
will this vision statement be part of the code as it is, like as the purpose? The current code has it as a purpose. And the only reason I'm pointing that out is because if it's part of code, I'm hoping that it can add the word shall. The city of Sandpoint shall recognize urban forestry as an equal part of the infrastructure, period.
Mm.
So, and which will create, enhance, or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know how this vision statement within the master plan.
I mean, my understanding is that if this is adopted, then we then look at the ordinances and
The language.
the language, and then it would get incorporated. I wonder, that's a good technical question. I can't answer it, Molly. I don't know if we should change it here to say shall, or if we would do that later on. I don't have enough experience changing codes.
Yeah, I just
And
wanted to.
shall is totally emphatic. It's like,
Yeah, we mean it.
We will. Do you mind if I ask that question and then
Not-
get back to you?
Yeah, not at
Yeah,
all.
that would be
I
good.
support the way you all have it. Without shall, if shall doesn't fit in this context.
Okay, I think that's good. I think that's some good improvements there. Can we look at program actions on page 77 to 79?
But your glasses don't get.
I got my, I'm cheating over here.
Um, There's a bunch of questions I had on this.
This version, sure.
There's an introductory
Oh,
There
yeah,
might be one more.
Page
over.
77.
77.
Yeah, there's an introductory paragraph, program actions, that outlines the 5 subcategories that it addresses. But it talks about must be addressed on a biannual basis. That means twice a year. And that just sounds like how much is gonna change
It might
in
not
6
have-
months? Do we really, that just sounds excessive to me. Maybe you have a better sense of that, but, and I wasn't sure. It says it must be addressed, but it doesn't say by whom. So I'm not quite sure what that
I mean,
whole,
I'm wondering if he's not saying a biannual operating plan should be established. So maybe he's thinking that there's a spring and a fall, and imagine, I can ask him about it to clarify.
Mhm.
We would only do one annual operating budget and plan.
Yeah,
And, you know, my imagination and how things gotta play out is that we would come up with the budget, you know, in February, March, to see if we can get it approved, and that would then dictate our operating plan
mhm.
going forward. So, you know, if we don't get all the funds that means we can't maintain everything, but
Yeah.
I would then work with the committee and let you know what we're doing, and then you would let the community, celebrate it and let the community know what we're up to.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll have to check. I'll check with that.
Yeah, I don't know why you want to do it twice a year. I think once a year would be adequate.
Yeah, I'm remembering something I read in the ordinance, talked about like a maintenance list, but I can't remember where I saw it now. But it was the idea that staff had, a to-do list. So I could see that maybe being necessary for staff to review
Mhm.
more often, because
Mhm.
things
Yeah.
could change.
Mhm.
And if a list like that doesn't exist in this master plan, it does seem like it should, like, a staff maintenance list. I can't remember
Yeah,
where
it
I,
does
just-
talk
I'm
about the 5-year plan should be reviewed biannually.
Yeah.
In the next paragraph.
Right.
To
Under the management plan.
make sure that things are on track with the
Mhm.
goals.
Mhm.
Which is interesting because that's exactly what we're doing right now. The maintenance team and myself, we met last spring, we went through everything that we were going to try to do or not do this year. And then we just met again a couple of weeks ago, and now is when they're doing their pruning. Like they just had a pruning class, and then they prune the streets that the city takes care of, which is Cedar, kind of the downtown area. So it's interesting because in a way we kind of do that, but it's not, we didn't reflect on any sort of a strategic plan or.
No, I mean, it's
Right,
common sense for,
normal,
right,
but
Right, but yeah.
But
maybe
since the
that's a
program
mess.
is, like you said, you're just kind of winging it here, or not winging it, but I know it's
Oh,
thoughtful,
no, there's some-
figuring it all out. So because you're organized, you did that, so maybe there does need to be direction for folks who
Yeah.
might
That
not be.
formalizes.
Well,
Or
I
like a
think
template or
letting the
something, yeah.
community know too. There's no transparency in what this program is, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Like, how do they know what we're up to versus, how do they know that we do take care of the tree?
And also, having a 5-year plan will really help guide us as a committee, because that's something that we can do once or twice a year, is review the goals, what was done in the last 6 months to accomplish those goals. So it gives us more structure too.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess that gets back to my earlier question, is when it says addressed, it's by whom and at what
Yeah.
level of management.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
if I was thinking, right, looking at this review biannually, as it comes up to our level at the tree
Mhm.
committee,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just gonna eat up a lot of time, I think that, I just don't think
Well-
it's the most efficient use of our time.
Right,
to
and I
do it
don't
every
think that
6 months.
you're really tasked with the operations
Yes.
side of it. That's more the city from what I was reading. And so,
Mm-hmm.
but I think certainly checking in and maybe a report of this is where we are, this is what we've
Mm-hmm.
done.
That would be great.
It seems like biannual relates to seasons, but I would like to clarify that with them. That's a really good
Mhm.
point to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that keeping the public in the loop, maybe biannually, is a really super good idea. And I don't know if it somehow can be incorporated into here and into the process, but I think that is actually super critical.
How would that be done? Like, where would
I
a
don't know.
regular
I mean,
citizen?
just, on the website or through a mailing.
On
you
your
know.
power bill? Or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
Like, and now we will be doing this or covering this. Otherwise,
And
like, I
also
don't
looking
know
back
what,
at what was accomplished.
yeah,
I mean, because the reality is the public has got skin in the game.
Yeah.
Totally.
yeah.
Didn't we used to, or for a period,
Yeah.
have things in there? I don't know what the requirements were.
Yeah.
Well, and also
But it-
going to council and updating council on what we're doing.
Mhm.
And also-
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of our roles also is the education
Yeah, so.
component.
That goes only to Sandpoint though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does.
Mm.
So if somewhere in the city, a report is done twice a year, we as a tree committee get that report and review it. And maybe we even can present
Mhm.
our review of that report at a city council meeting once or twice a year.
Yeah, I think once a year is a little more realistic, but
Yeah,
sure,
once a year
We
is
we can take a look at
more
that.
than we're doing at the moment.
So
And that could be
what
in
I
con-
hear though, what you're talking about are strategic planning items that would come out of this,
Yeah.
which these are all wonderful ideas, but first step is get this adopted as we want it. Then we have to have a meeting after that. And I also want to point out that part of his recommendations are with the tree committee. And he sent me some language this week that I do want to share with you all. When we're out. But I think, one thing we're going to want to do this in January or February is look at this and have a couple of meetings about the strategic plan for this going forward. We're going to need to get some more information from leadership on that because it will relate directly to budget.
So I don't know if you've had the time to look at these specifically, but we have the priorities. The first one, urban forest management plan adoption and implementation, which is sort of our primary objective really right now, is to get this plan completed and hopefully adopted by the city council. Is there any other comments on that one? The next priority, tree inventory maintenance. Yeah, I would like to delete part of that. Where it says, let's see, priority number 2, it's probably on page 78.
Yep.
Tree
Yeah, mine's on
inventory maintenance.
Mine's on 70, starts on
Um,
70.
77 and 78.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have page numbers on this printout here, but he does say using an ArcGIS tree management software such as TreeWorks. TreeWorks, I think is his
Yeah.
proprietary brand. So I don't think that needs to be in there at all. I don't think we should be, I don't think it should be, I don't think the,
It's like an
It might be the
Management
first
plan
thing
needs to be
somebody
that-
goes to,
yeah, I
yeah.
don't think it should be that specific to even
Right.
suggest any specific plan. But it also says using an ArcGIS tree management software. And we're using the tree plotter, which I'm not sure that qualifies as an ArcGIS.
Yep,
Is it?
yep.
Okay. I was just worried about if we specified an ArcGIS plan, if that would handcuff us from not being able to use other plans, other
Mm.
programs.
No.
If we
it's,
needed to have that.
Could it
Tree
just say
plotter.
GIS?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or just say.
maybe it just,
Tree management
software.
software.
yeah, okay.
Using.
Using
management.
tree management software,
Okay.
we could say GIS. I mean,
Yeah,
That
I
would
mean,
be okay.
they all will probably incorporate
yeah,
GIS, right?
Well,
Okay.
it's pretty important to keep GIS in because
okay.
otherwise you could develop an Excel spreadsheet and, here's
Right.
your software and which is, adequate for certain things. But to have each tree geo-referenced is a pretty important.
And the
aspect.
ability to layer and.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I agree
Distribute
about
work
taking that
order.
commercial part out of it.
Mhm.
That's,
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Okay.
Good call.
So if we say using a GIS tree management software,
just take out reference.
just and let's
We can.
take out the such as tree work.
We can.
Okay.
We can, you
Okay,
just
I
have to
think that
be
would be.
thoughtful
no,
about.
that's totally great.
I just don't use the yellows. I don't know. I had them marked for something. but
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
babe,
we'll keep
there's
it
the-
intact.
That's the older version.
Couldn't read her in the bend.
I know, it's a little hard.
I didn't really have much else on the rest. That whole section there. I don't know. Does anyone else have any other comments or thoughts?
After planting an appropriate species at a site that can support adequate growth. Yeah. Yeah. We're doing poorly.
Are these priorities listed in priority, like from
In
top
order?
priority to lowest priority, or are these just
During the
all
first 20
considered
years.
priorities? Yeah, okay.
Because he doesn't have 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah,
he just
I
has
didn't see that either, but I just wanted to make sure that's the
Yeah, I
case.
think they're all equally
Yeah.
critical.
And
do-
do,
I
okay,
think it's really important you all are very aware of, I mean, this is making a recommendation for the forester in addition to an arborist on maintenance staff, but the forester to be,
certified.
Yeah,
and
certified,
Qualified,
so-
yeah, skilled.
Mhm.
that's pretty robust ask
Yes.
in a town that doesn't have anyone at all, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. that-
So what do you think about that? I mean,
I
like,
don't think it's realistic for our budget.
so,
I think, maybe we will continue to do the consulting part. I could see in the future if we have a natural resource manager who has forestry, urban forestry under them, that could be, but I don't see that being.
So-
I'd rather see we have an arborist on staff. Certified arborist who can take care of the trees, because right now we can't get the maintenance people to do that, and they need to do that. So somebody on staff, to me, that's the highest priority, because they're the ones actually taking care of the trees versus like my job, I'm administrating.
And
I don't know the advantages to being a certified forester for administration versus
Mhm.
a certified arborist who actually does the work and can conduct inspections and do all that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd just be curious what you all think about that.
Where
Well, I
where are
think
you
that-
reading
With
that?
what you said, 100%.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that the additional training?
yeah, it's under the training and stuff. It might not even be in here.
I mean, I think that the benefit of that would be just from being able to effectively manage the work, because you have knowledge of what is right and what is wrong, basically.
But I don't think Spokane even has a certified forester
Oh, they don't?
managing their arborist. They
Oh.
have I think his name's Jeff or Ben. He came.
Ben,
here.
yeah, Ben Kappen.
Right, Ben Kaplan, he is also the arborist, but it's a one role, one person,
All inclusive.
all inclusive. What Jim is saying is 2 roles,
Oh,
2
okay,
positions.
all right. I didn't catch that.
2 staff.
Uh-huh.
It's
I'm not
different.
quite-
I don't think that's realistic for our town.
I'm not following this business of certified forester and certified arborist as two
Yeah.
different things.
I don't know where I read it.
In fact, I'm not even heard of a certified forester unless there's some other
Yeah.
qualification. for
Yeah,
it.
Society of American Foresters
Oh.
as a certified forester program.
Staff training.
And
Okay.
Or,
And does it teach management skills? As far as like city administration of a program?
no, it's very generic across the entire discipline of forestry. So it's not specific to urban forestry or wildland
Right,
forestry or
right.
things like that.
So net might not necessarily be
Right.
the benefit that we need. I just think it's really important that we do have someone with managerial and organizational skills who is also a certified arborist. I know that might be hard to come by, but I
Babe
think,
just has
I
to
think
get
we should
certified.
shoot.
She's got she's got everything else
She's
going
got too much.
on.
Sorry, Nate, we didn't mean it.
but
I agree, she'd be great.
70, page 75
Uh,
speaks to the city staff about the tree care. So page 75, first portion
Oh.
of that.
I can't
They're
read.
saying
Yeah.
tree care performed by
That's-
city staff or certified or contractors to city's public trees should be accomplished by an ISA certified arborist or certified tree workers. And then annual training. The following objectives should be incorporated into the urban forestry program annual training for urban forestry staff. So we do have that right now.
Mhm.
We do have the training, but we just don't have anyone on staff that's an arborist. So what I want to be, I really want to make sure that there is. We are definitely good. We need to ask for an arborist on staff. That's something that we need. And I think they need to be embedded with the maintenance staff. They need to be out there working.
So who
Well-
did train the boys that just did all the
Garth.
pruning?
Garth
Oh,
did.
good.
And that's an annual program.
Well,
Great.
you know, and I would envision several different options if not knowing how the city is organized with a maintenance staff. But if one of those staff members, you know, was a certified arborist that would oversee the work that the others were doing, then it wouldn't have to be a full-time arborist position. Because, you know, probably that person would be doing other things as well. It kind of, you want that certified arborist to be the person closest to holding the saw or instructing to someone on how to do it. And so that doesn't necessarily need to be the administrative person sitting in City Hall, kind of balancing the budget and all of the other things the administrator is doing. Yeah, you want that skill out on the ground.
Mhm.
So when we go back to page 67, well, 66, he talks about the tree inspections. And then, applications of people doing. Right now, we do have certified risk hazard tree inspector and that's Garth,
Mhm.
but we don't, you know, we have a contract with them to be able to do that. He was saying that we should have somebody
Staff.
on staff, that should be the arborist. So I think, you know, and to be clear, we are advertising for a new maintenance person, and this is something I've already asked for, so hopefully we will get that person. But on page 68, he says tree risk assessor qualifications. Each assessor should have a current certification with a minimum 2 years of experience. So that's going back to that, and then the qualifications of people that are doing this in the inspection cycle. So he's recommending a 1 to 5 year inspection cycle, blah, 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 blah. So all of this kind of gives that beef for
Mhm.
the arborist.
Yeah.
And maybe the arborist can wear a couple hats like we all do, but that would be incredible.
Yeah.
That's a win to me. And I think that's a good thing.
I agree.
That I was really excited at. And I
Yeah.
wanted to just make sure that you're all on board because that's so
And
basically asking for a staff member to be added. So
the tree risk assessor qualifications and being certified is actually a, you know, mitigates some litigation
Yeah.
to where you have somebody that's qualified that's doing it, and it's not just like, you know, somebody that has knowledge, but in terms of covering your butt for.
Yeah, they have that credential that you know, reduces liability exposure for the city.
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. The program that we have now, I don't know if you're familiar, but the way it works now is if someone has a tree that needs to be inspected, then I order it to happen.
Yeah.
And Garth is who I use. And that's part of the contract. And that's the program I inherited. I don't make any calls at all. I
Yeah.
just.
Right.
Although it does say in code that I can, so if a tree falls on a house or something, obviously we can quickly react. But Garth, you know, every case I've handled so far, he's given me an inspection report. Had a couple that came through that wanted to cut their trees down and they didn't. And we have the one that isn't legal right now where they illegally cut down the trees. And both Jim and Garth gave me inspections on that, but it was after the trees were illegally removed. So that's going through litigation. So I don't know where we are with that. It's illegal, but yeah, we take it seriously. That's the message.
So I have a question. So if the management plan passed as is today with these qualifications in here, is that just an aspiration or does that become a requirement?
It's an aspiration.
An aspiration.
So plans are recommendations.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, unless there's something in code.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. I was thinking the
Okay,
same thing
yeah.
myself, because I didn't want to put something like that they need 2 years of
Right.
experience in risk management
But this is
assessment
ideal.
and then,
Yeah.
say, and then
Okay. It's something.
make that too big a hurdle to find someone
Right,
to
and
fill the
master
bill.
plans are 10 to 20 year plans.
Right.
You
Uh-huh.
know, I don't know if you said at the beginning how long this one was intended to.
20, I think 20 years and 5-year increments. And
Usually, yeah, they're
Yeah.
targeting 10 to 20 years minimum. And you should redo them at 10 years usually, or at least just review them to see if they're still current.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And to me, this is another really great reason why there should be phases to implementation
Yep.
of
And
this plan.
that's where we
Otherwise, we're all just like.
Right,
"Oh,
exactly.
what do we-"
So the step one, going
What are
back
the
to the
goals?
process is we get this adopted, then we digest it and we say, what's realistic?
Yeah.
Can we get the budget up to 50,000? Can we get it up to 100?
Yeah.
What can we do with the, that's my recommendation.
Yeah.
Start with the budget. What's the
Yeah.
money? What can we do with the money we have? And then what grant should we go after?
Yeah.
And how do we
Yeah.
fund this? Because it might change taxing structure. I mean, I have no idea
Totally.
how this works on that end. That's at the really high end. And then, yeah, we piece it out in, 5-year, 3 years is usually better for the strategic plan. The strategic plan gets redone every 3 to 5 years. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if once it's officially adopted, if it's officially adopted by council, and then it gets kind of converted to code like we were talking
Yeah.
about, whether we can have Amy or whoever's the planner
Yeah.
come in and we can talk about like the real specifics, like you were
Yeah.
saying, like whether they need to be certified, whether the code says that or not,
That's a
because this
great-
is just aspirational.
Yeah, and Amy would be, so Amy's our city planner, for those of you that don't know, Amy Tweeten, and that's a really great one. Also, some of this might get fed into other plans, like the comp plan, stuff like that. We're making reference to it in the comp plan already, because it's in draft, that plan, and it's getting moved ahead, but ideally, this would be adopted ahead of the comp plan, and I think it will be. I don't think she's tracking to be done until February, so we're ahead of that plan, which is huge, because that means that now we're seeing a lot of the stuff will be part of the bigger picture, which then results in codes on other ends too. Like they may change some of the development based on this, which I think is fantastic.
Mhm.
So will this become like a chapter in the comp plan? or
No,
just
it's a
that's just
reference
just
document.
Excerpts, how it'll be
Yeah,
referenced?
yeah. But it would be on our end to make sure that the comp plan, if there's key things in there, key takeaways in here, that we pull them out, we put them in the bullets.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. I mean, do we need to reference anything? Do we need to put anything in this document to reference the comp plan?
no,
Okay.
it goes the other way.
Okay.
And the comp plan is the legal document that guides what goes into code.
Mhm.
So you can't really look, so having the tree master plan in there will essentially be that legal recommendation.
Mhm.
So. Have you, I haven't had a chance to look at the comp plan stuff. Was it lacking as far as urban forestry tree stuff?
Yeah, they had me start with the natural resources, and it's something to pay attention to. I think they're gonna go in front of planning and zoning. They might be going tomorrow.
I know, I thought it already happened. I know you asked about help on that, but
Yeah.
I didn't
and
have
It
time.
was the natural resources section.
Yeah,
Natural resources and hazards were lumped together. All the staff that were involved, myself included, said, we don't have enough time to respond to this.
yeah.
But Amy wanted to get it in front of, because they've been working on this for many years. She wanted to get it in front of PNC to see if they had anything. So their feedback is essentially coming ahead of staff's, and then the chapter will get rewritten. So
And you think it's Wednesday that
I
that's,
thought that it was on
Yeah.
Tuesday,
Oh,
but
oh.
I can talk with Amy.
oh yeah, they have
and let you
different
know.
meetings.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So the natural resources, a big one, that chapter, that's where we're referenced in here. Urban forestry, but it looks like we could also be referenced in infrastructure. So that's
Yeah, I
why
like that idea.
Mhm.
All the,
stormwater,
all the chapters,
super important on this.
the tree in every chapter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see, I think we were at the priorities.
Mhm. Are there any other comments on that?
It's probably not even a necessary comment, but I just.
Are you back on page 77? Is that right?
Yeah, well, and I'm looking at
78.
78, which is the tree maintenance.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's necessary, but I'm just wondering about tying it, the proper tree maintenance, where it says after a planting is appropriately planted or whatever. Whether it's tied into the inventory and GIS.
That's a good one.
I don't know.
That
'Cause
is-
it's
so
it's
as
saying,
soon as it gets planted, it's
Yeah.
automatically
yeah, we're gonna
added to the
monitor
tree
this.
inventory
Add
Yeah,
as,
I mean,
Or just
maybe that's
say-
obvious.
all new trees. No, it's not all.
It's
It
not.
should,
No, it's-
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that
All new
idea.
planting should be.
Yeah. It's
Because
just
it's-
automatic.
Yeah,
All
because
new
it's saying you're
plantings
gonna
to be
maintain it with water and fertilizer and whatnot, pruning.
Added to.
Tree inventory. That's a really good one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't happened
Software.
regularly in the past. A couple of times I was able to get after the planting occurred for the neighborhoods, I was able to get a list of the trees and locations, and then I could put them in.
Yeah.
But if I didn't get that information, they wouldn't appear until I happened to cross them while I was doing the tree inventory, which is sometimes a few years
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
planting.
Right.
So, yeah, especially, I mean, it is so critical to get, do structural pruning on young newly planted trees.
Right.
And the trees are small, it's not a big job, but it's really critical for shaping the structure of the tree to come as it grows. So getting it in the inventory right away, I think would be very valuable.
So how about this? Immediately following all new plantings. Has to be, or shall be added to tree inventory software database.
Say that again?
Or I just said, immediately following all new plantings. Immediately something along this effect. I really need to rewrite this.
Yeah.
Immediately following all new plantings, comma.
Or all new plantings should be immediately followed with Scooby-Doo.
All new.
Entered into
plantings
tree inventory database.
Shall be immediately. Yes, added to tree. Okay.
Excellent recommendation, Molly.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
Yes. It really was, yeah.
Oh, one other
Right.
phrase I wanted to add to that first paragraph of proper tree maintenance.
Yeah.
It talked about how early pruning will mean that the trees require less frequent, less costly pruning in late years. But it also makes them, I think, less susceptible to storm damage. Because
Yeah,
they're stronger, the stronger trees are less susceptible, and that's not mentioned at all.
Early,
did mention
early
it.
pruning? Is that
Well,
what you're
the
talking
pruning,
but
it
not
says,
in this.
it mentions here, what it reads here, if trees are pruned properly 3 or 4 times during the first 20 years, they will need less frequent and less costly pruning in later years. And I would like to add the phrase, and they will be less susceptible to storm damage.
And you can include that in that next sentence, actually. Pruning promotes sound structural development of a tree's trunk and branches,
Okay.
which can
Protect
um,
Reduce
reduce
hazard
reduce
trees or.
storm damage or
Storm
something
damage.
like that.
Did I say impacts from storm damage? Which can reduce. impacts
Yeah,
from
Minimize
storm
or something like that. It's not gonna, it's not, no guarantee that it won't
No,
happen.
no, but it does.
That's what we're aiming for, mitigating risks.
Mhm.
And I had well, confused, I'm a little confused on just the definition of the biannual operating plan.
Is it page 68?
Yeah, I mean, because it talks about, I mean, it's, so, and I guess that's maybe where he was talking about the biennial review, but
You can flip.
I'm not sure what that biennial operating plan means, well, because I mean, it's just, we go year to year, but, so I wasn't sure of that.
Is that the strategic plan?
No, that's.
Mm-mm.
What I was interpreting is that at the city staff level, especially the maintenance crew, they would have kind of basically a 6-month, plan to follow and that would be reviewed, twice
Oh.
a year.
I see, under mitigation and action.
Yeah, that was, I'm sorry, that was page 68.
Mhm.
How about I'll get clarity on that? Maybe we-
There was some place that it was referenced, maybe under the duties of the tree committee, but there was 1 or 2 sentences that the city staff would have their kind of more of their day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month plan that would not have to be under the auspices of this committee here.
Change the
Yeah,
business.
maybe it would be, mentioned to this committee, okay, in the next 6 months, we're going to be targeting these neighborhoods for pruning and
Sure.
that sort of thing.
This is what we discovered. Yeah. That makes sense, but I don't.
And that's something that the public would hear about. I mean,
Yeah.
you're saying you want them to know what's
Right,
going on.
yeah.
Tree business.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, where are we plowing snow?
Yeah.
Where are we, what projects are we working on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense to share all that and be transparent. In some way, we need to have a system, whether it's a website or whatever, to report. We don't do a good job of that right now, but I think that's a really good goal. I can't find the tree committee section, but he wrote me.
Well, it would be listed under PAR.
Yeah. he
Parks,
said that
Arbor,
wrong
and
numerous
Recreation.
times, didn't he? So I had him clarify because
Oh, gosh.
it took like 2 weeks to get him to clarify the language about the tree committee. So I'll just read to you what he wrote. He said it should be added to the section. about the trees. I don't know what that's on. So this is what Jim said. For a community the size of Sandpoint, the tree committee should have 5 members consisting of 2 members who have experience and expertise in arboriculture or urban forestry, and 3 members from the community that reflect the will of the community in an official capacity on issues pertaining to the strategic management of the urban forest. 1 member acts as a chair of the committee. The STC should report to and be overseen by the staff member responsible for directing and managing the implementation of the urban forestry master plan and city trees. City staff acts as an ex officio member of the committee. That means we don't vote. He didn't have that in there.
Okay,
Just
we should
wanted-
find that spot where it talks about
There's
that.
no
Where it needs to go.
No, there's not.
There isn't an index?
No, that would help.
Well, on the
I-
well, I got an email. I thought it.
Oh,
Because currently what it says is that this, one thing I remember is that it should be a city council person attending, and not the master plan, but the current kind of urban forestry ordinance. And someone from the Downtown Business Association. And I don't even know,
we don't
That's
have
the
one.
current-
that's currently
in
what
the-
it
yeah,
says.
in the code.
Mhm. But I don't know the status of like the downtown business.
We have one.
We
I thought we
do?
have like 2.
We may have had 2 separate.
Oh, I don't think
times.
that DBA is still is
That's
active.
what I
don't-
mean. Like, I
don't
think,
it is either.
Yeah,
yeah, so there really isn't like an association
no,
downtown.
No.
Okay.
I know the Chamber of Commerce would
The,
be able
and
to
then,
reach out that.
yeah, And at one time, of course, we would have a city council member assigned to the tree committee.
Yeah.
And then also for a brief period of time, we had someone from the Downtown Business Association, and that was Grant Merwin
Yeah,
from,
hardware.
Oh,
from
yeah.
Merwin's Hardware.
Yeah.
That was
He came to
before.
a couple of meetings and,
That was it.
save his locust tree. And once that was done, that's not, strike that from the record. please. But Grant Merwin was that
Yeah,
DBA
he was.
representative for a period of time.
Mhm.
Good
Maybe it would
memory.
be under ordinance review.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking under.
Actually went through that. I didn't see it.
I know that agriculture manual is not an adopted document, but it has guidelines basically. That might be where we talk about it. I've been using the manual quite a bit lately. I've been getting a lot of private homeowners questions, so I just send them the manual. and say,
Yeah.
This is where we have recommendations.
Page 20,
20 or 40?
20.
Oh, there it is.
Potentially.
Sandpoint tree. Committee. It does say that in the
I
index.
looked in the index.
I just was starting with tree
There we
committee,
go.
not Sandpoint.
Oh, I even had it flat in yellow.
Okay, what was it?
Just missed it.
20.
20?
And then look over on page 21 about the third paragraph down. The primary role of the Sandpoint Tree Committee for Sandpoint's urban forestry management plan would provide periodic, once a year, review of strategic plans to track the status of the various recommendations and evaluate the progress towards management goals. So that's where I was referring to. I was thinking it's maybe twice a year, but the
Yeah,
recommendation
so,
is once a
so
year.
the question that we asked him was this last paragraph. That's what I just read you guys about how we wanted recommendations about how many and the qualifications. Or industry experts. So that's what that paragraph was that he sent us. I do think you're right, though, Molly, in the code. I think that there was something that spoke to the tree committee.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'm
it seemed
trying
like
to pull it up right now and see if I can find it. I just don't know if I'll find it.
what I remember from the code is, was it a
didn't even
minimum
see
of
that.
5 and a maximum of maybe 9 members? But then there's the residency requirement, and that's what we've always bumped up against.
Okay, I have it here. Committee composition. A committee of 5 to 9 persons shall be appointed by the mayor with consent of the city council to serve 3-year appointments with staggered terms. At least a majority of the committee shall be residents of the city of Sandpoint. Further, at least a majority shall have experience and expertise in arboriculture or disciplines such as public administration, horticulture, parks and recreation, or landscape design. Further, one member shall be a representative of the predominant organization representing downtown business. The city forester shall serve as staff representative without voting privileges. A council member shall be appointed to serve as council liaison without voting privileges. Vacancies are filled by appointment to unexpired terms in the same manner. Committee members may be removed without cause by a majority vote of the full city council. And we serve without compensation.
What?
Waiting for that check.
And the balancing act is, between 5 to 9 members,
Yeah.
a majority having the sort of the green skills, but then a majority residing in the city. And so as the committee grows from 5 to 9, well, yeah, this person is really skilled in urban forestry, but lives outside the city limits. Is that gonna, upset the balance of the code? here?
Right, so I want to
Yes,
address
now.
this because this is where
No, we're.
Jim wrote his paragraph. I suspect he didn't
So
review it
you-
against the
You,
code.
Sharon, Molly,
And I want to
and
make sure.
Gail
So I think
are
that
the
needs
are the
to be
residents.
reviewed again.
And so we have 7 members with 4.
I want to confirm that he.
And the residents don't have to be experts.
With the skills you all bring.
Yes.
I didn't even see where it says here that. That's what she's telling us.
What were you looking for?
I think what Jim sent her it is not.
Not, so
indicated.
he's saying it
Yeah.
should be,
No.
okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
So
send it to
Molly, on that piece of code that says, what's the date on it? When was that adopted?
It's in-
Well, it looks like
7
2008.
Okay.
There isn't a date on that particular
I
line
just didn't-
item.
I just
A.
didn't remember
7-15-5.
that green industry requirement. I remember the
The
residence,
residency, yeah.
residency.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that other one even being in there. I didn't know if that was something.
Yeah.
Well,
And see, and
the
right now is
You got
a-
three of you guys.
are kind of the, you know, the green industry experience or knowledge or.
Yeah.
it does say that in there. I read that.
Mhm.
Okay. I did get off that off current code, but I will say that
Mhm.
when you go, the code isn't up to date fully. Like it has like a whole bunch of committees listed. We're not even listed. And we're one of the, yeah. So it says, you know, if you go to committees, it has a whole list of committees and none of them exist except,
Yeah.
and we're not on there.
And we do.
Yeah.
Just to our sort of
So-
shadow.
So, I mean,
We're orphans.
In the city's administration.
but that's another process altogether is getting the code.
That's correct. I'm just writing Jen right now and asking him to clarify, make sure that because he's essentially making recommendations that are
Mhm.
different than the code.
Sure.
So if we choose to adopt that, then that becomes one of those action items that we then.
Mhm.
And then personally, I favor current code, you know, with that flexibility of members. Five members are pretty rigid and with
To get a
the
quorum.
requirements for those members, then you may not get the balance of people that you want, the kind of the chemistry that's gonna, the chemistry that we have here today.
Mhm. And I guess I liked the idea of the downtown person, just because they're downtown a
Yeah.
lot. And might notice that tree or, an issue more than, ooh.
I'm sorry.
Where are my safety goggles?
Sorry.
I
There
didn't
is
bring
a
two.
ghost among us today.
But if that organization doesn't exist, I guess there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about that. But keeping it might be, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, see, and and then the code, I think was anticipating, something like that, because it said at least one member shall represent the downtown. It didn't represent Downtown Business Association
yeah.
Incorporated.
Yeah.
A specific.
Yeah, no,
that
true.
specific Organization.
But
Yeah.
also, we
It is.
still don't have a city council person either on our, we used to.
And we talked about that. I mean, it was recommended that we reach out to Jason, I think, or someone was going to, I can't remember. But
I think so. So let me just get clarification from Jim and then I'll report back to you of
Okay.
whatever his intent was, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Because he was tasked specifically with reviewing this. And I just want to make sure I did. Okay, any other items?
I don't really have anything else. I think we've covered a lot. Is there anything else anyone wants to make sure we discuss before we adjourn here?
I would just point out that the arboriculture manual is out of date as well, and that, I don't know, if I know he referenced it in here somewhere, but I would say that going forward, we might want to redo that manual or just update it. I don't know. We didn't really change it.
It seems to
Oh,
me.
We've got really something to look at because it's
Yeah.
from
No,
2008,
you're-
so.
You're right.
Yeah.
But but prior to your arrival, this was something that we actually were discussing a lot and actually reviewing. But I don't know if any updates were ever.
Yeah, I
Where
kind of
would-
got left with Jared.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
And we had a lot of stuff And I think we were pretty close to having a
Yeah.
pretty complete arboricultural manual updated
Okay.
to that point. That was like, what, 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. But then it never got
2019.
approved. It got hung up. He was waiting, he was doing some code reviewing and got lost in that mess.
Went down that rabbit hole.
So-
Yeah, it is really difficult. And I don't know why, I don't know why that had to hold him up, but it apparently
Okay.
it never got adopted.
But
So
you think there might be some drafts? in
there,
the
Oh, they
there's
are.
work, a lot of work's been done on
Okay,
that already.
I can do some digging on that and then just kind of see where we are.
So
Yeah.
that would be
Hopefully
good.
that's, yeah.
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want, oh, go ahead.
Well, I just had a quick question. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like a few meetings back, we became aware that you weren't even aware that this manual existed until well into your tenure with this job. Yeah, which it was shocking to learn that.
It's law.
And I don't know if there's any way of trying to bring that manual to the forefront, because we've spent, I don't know, it seemed like over a couple of years
Yeah.
Yeah, off and
Yeah.
on, yeah.
reviewing that manual and
Yeah, I
trying
mean,
to get
I'm
it
looking at the
updated.
code right now, and the code just says the one that's adopted is 2008. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to revisit all.
Yeah.
that. No, I became aware of it when Jim came here.
Yeah.
Early July, maybe when he was here to talk to everybody. And he kept asking for it, and I kept asking for it as well. I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. Where is this manual? And it is referenced in the code, but there's no link to it anywhere.
Hmm.
And it's not, I couldn't find it, and yeah.
Mm.
So
Is-
So it's not
Well,
even on the,
we're in the
city's
cleanup
website.
stage, as
On
you
the
know,
computer.
in the city, so
Huh.
we're getting
Look
there.
it up.
We're getting there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and just
But,
given
yeah,
kind
it
of the
was just
disruption.
one
in
of
But
the-
your
things for me.
awareness of its
Yeah.
existence is
Well, it's such a great tool. I've
huge.
I've
Yeah.
literally been using it
Yeah.
every time. I give people a copy of that. I give people a copy of the code. I give them a permit, Cammy got the permit redone, I think twice. We established a process.
Yeah.
So there was
Yeah.
no
Good.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a central document, a central database
Yeah.
for the next person that comes in. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
that can always be a
So
problem.
yeah, if you go to community
Email
forestry
exchange.
now, the webpage, Cammy has it all updated. I'm on it right now. I'm sorry, I can't share it, but it does have a link to the arboriculture manual. It has all the stuff, the codes, everything's in here. So, and behind the scenes, I've been working with Avista, and they've been fantastic. So,
Oh, good.
yeah, there's a lot of movement. A lot of things have been done, but it's
Thank
And-
you.
Yes.
And you too,
welcome to
Cam.
the kitchen sink
Thank you. babe.
without the sponges.
And I just wanted to point out, I discovered when going to the code and everything, that it is under, urban forestry is under chapter 7, public spaces and services. So I just think that it's not a huge reach to be becoming part of the infrastructure budget, because that's where all of the streets and the sidewalks and everything are. So we're already kind of considered infrastructure, so there is general funding as part of that. I don't know how code applies to budget, but I just wanted to point that out. That we
That's
are
good
already
to know.
kind of there
That's a really
in
good point.
theory.
Okay. Well, I think with this
On paper.
discussion
On paper.
could go on forever.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's been a big task, and I appreciate everyone's effort. I'm glad we were able to come together on an extra meeting here, because I think we work a lot better when we're together as a group. I think a lot of good ideas come out, so I appreciate everyone's efforts here. I think I'd like to kind of wrap things up here, and Mabel, I guess, let us know what the schedule is for the next city council meeting, and whether we
I
have
will,
something
as
to,
well as I'll make
whether
sure you
we're going to
have the
be on the
draft.
agenda. Yeah, and an updated draft would be awesome.
Yeah, and then can I get whoever has notes in your version? Eileen definitely, my
I don't have notes.
super editor over there. Yeah, if you do have anything, if you haven't emailed me so far, please do. I can give it back to you if you want when we're done, but my task is to get all these in here into the Word document and get them off to Jim. clarify some of the questions, particularly the budget and any other things. I
Do
wrote
you
down.
want me to put that in a formal email to you?
I
don't
got it.
think so.
You're
Okay.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
you're totally fine. I needed to do it anyway.
Yeah.
It was on my radar regardless.
Okay, well, anyway, before we all run off, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting. Let's see, our next meeting is gonna be, November 21st at 8:30.
Oh, it is, okay.
At 8:30 in the morning.
Coming right up.
Is
That's
that,
Thanksgiving
is that
week,
our
but it's
normally
Monday.
scheduled meeting?
It's our normal scheduled time.
No,
It's
but
our regular
I'll be
meeting.
in Texas before Monday.
Oh, okay.
Good for you. You could
And
We will
after
be
Monday.
join in virtually if you want.
Yeah, and I also wanted to point out, when you do get the note about the meeting from Cami to up in the upper left corner, there's an accept button. So make sure you're hitting that, not just replying.
Oh.
So that you'll be,
Or
we're
yes.
still-
and we're
Am
just
I,
getting-
yeah,
I have, it comes across as a yes, no, or maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
that's
I'm doing the
okay.
right thing by
Yeah.
hitting yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, or no, or maybe, or you can write a note in there too.
And that's in the upper left corner.
it's up upper left corner of the,
Right.
yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I
thought
couldn't,
it
I
was
didn't.
below.
It depends on.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because
Mine is
I
down
actually could
below.
not find it on mine. That's why I
Mine's
didn't
below.
reply.
Huh. Yeah, it's, yeah, if you're planning on attend, please click it that says accept
huh.
on there. So just click on that button.
And does that include the Zoom link too?
You gotta go
in
through the
that
whole-
typically?
If you want to attend by Zoom.
Yeah, okay, you
let
asked.
me know by
That's right,
Friday
okay.
prior to, I can
Okay,
get you
all right.
a special link.
Yeah, okay. Because sometimes I'll get emails announcing a Zoom meeting and then ask, whether you plan to attend or not. And when I check attend, then for some reason, when I bring back that email, then it no longer has the Zoom invitation as an active link. But in your case, it's just like you say, whether or not you plan to attend, and then you need to take another motion to receive the Zoom invitation then.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, well, very
Yeah,
good,
Zoom
everyone.
has its own
Yeah,
emailing system.
that's right. Yeah.
Well, okay, so 10:21 meeting adjourned.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank
We
you.
got-
Thank you.
we got
All right,
that.
yes, and I'm not allowed to say this, but sort of am. Woods Wheatcroft has gigantic cedar trees on his property that he would like to be the first person in our heritage tree program.
Where is this?
Fourth,
The corner of Fourth and Pacific.
woo,
Oh,
yes,
Maybe he still
spectacular.
lives there.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Fourth and.
Pacific.
well, that's down near the.
And it's kind
lake.
of down in a little dip and